Voivode is a Slavic title that originally denoted the principal commander of a military force. It derives from the word vojevoda, which in early Slavic meant the belidux, i.e., the military commander of an area, but it usually had a greater meaning. In Byzantine times it was used to refer to mainly military commanders of Slavic populations, especially in the Balkans. In medieval Serbia it meant a high-ranking official and before the Ottoman occupation a commander of a military area. During Ottoman times, voivode was the title borne by the ruler of a province, whose powers included the administration, security and tax collection under a special regime. According to the Chronicle of the Votash Monastery, the Slavic title of voivode, which prevailed in certain areas of Epirus and Thessaly before the Ottoman occupation, used to denote the leader of a Vlach community or family. The same title was borne by the Ottoman official who oversaw the Kora Metzovo. Each time, the word gradually came to denote the governor of a province. The territory ruled or administered by a voivode is known as a voivodeship. In the English language, the title is often translated as prince or duke. In Slavic terminology, the rank of a voivode is considered equal of that of a German herzog. A voivode was often considered to be an assistant of the knyaz. During military actions, the voivode was in charge of a conscripted army that consisted of the local population, the VOJ, while the knyaz had its own regular military formation, the drużyna. Today in Poland the term wojewoda means the centrally appointed governor of a Polish province or voivodeship. The Polish title is sometimes rendered in English as Palatine or Prince Palatine, in charge of a palatinate. Other similar titles could be considered Margrave, Governor-General, and others. With the expansion of the Russian Empire, the title of voivode was superseded by namestnik. The title was used in medieval Bulgaria, Bohemia, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, Macedonia, Greece, Wallachia, Moldavia, Transylvania, Rugan, Lysatia, Poland, Muscovy, Halych, Volhynia, Novgorod Republic, Chernigov, and Kiev. Later, voivode was the highest military rank in the principalities of Montenegro and Serbia, and in the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. In the Romanian medieval principalities of Moldavia and Wallachia, voivode became part of the official titulature of the sovereign prince, showing his right to lead the entire army. Voivode or Vajda was also the title of the Hungarian governors of Transylvania in the Middle Ages. Beda was a title of a Ruthenian nobleman Dmitrovichnevetsky, a Cossack leader. Similarly, the leaders of Bulgaria's high-duty rebels were called voivodes. Etymology. The term derives from Slavic voi or vojsko plus vodi, and thus originally meant warlord. The word has developed to take various forms in the modern Slavic languages, such as vojvoda, wojewoda, or vojevodan. It has also been borrowed into some non-Slavic languages, taking such forms as voivode, vajda and voivodes. Voivode is also related to state formations such as Vojvodina, Polish provinces voivodeship, and medieval provinces of Balkans. This etymology is perfectly parallel, though unrelated, to that of equivalent Germanic titles and terms like the Old English Hertuger and the German Herzog, which in feudal times was equated with the Latin dux. For this reason, the Slavic terms are sometimes translated as duke. However, although in some countries and periods the rank of voivode was equivalent to a Western duke, it was not universally so. History. The tradition of electing a voivode is very old and dates back to the times of the early Slavs. Each tribe gathered at a vesh to elect its own voivode. In war, he was entitled to lead the army. When the war was over, the power reverted to the legitimate peacetime ruler, be it the vesh or a prince. By the end of the 8th century, the Slavic tribes established the first organized states in Central and Eastern Europe. The new situation demanded a more flexible command over the state, especially during the conflicts with Turkic, Baltic and German peoples. At that time, the power of the voivode was in most cases extended to include civil command and, in some instances, to religious authority. The chiefs of the tribes, princes and hospodars, delegated part of their authority to lower-ranking voivodes, while retaining the title of highest voivode and the positions of high priest and supreme judge. With the creation of permanent Slavic states in Kiev and Rus, in Bohemia and Poland, the highest authority was passed to dukes and princes. In Kiev and Rus, these came from the Varangian nobles, while in Bohemia and Poland they were of local origin. The basis of the power of a prince was his band of warriors or druzhina. Initially a small group of professional soldiers, the druzhina grew in order to control the vast areas under authority of the prince. In time, the need to split the army into several units became clear and the commander of such a unit was called Prince's Voivode. The highest ranking of such voivodes formed the prince's courts, while others commanded the troops in distant towns and served as advisors to the prince's delegates. In medieval Russia, voivoda was the governor of a border fortress or town. The rank was abolished by Peter the Great in the mid-18th century. Poland. In modern Poland, a voivode, appointed by the central government in Warsaw, is the governor of a voivodeship. Each voivodeship also has an elected assembly, called a sejmik, and an executive board elected by that assembly, headed by an official called the marszałek, meaning marshal. For a summary of the respective competences of these authorities, see Voivodeships of Poland. The office was created in the Kingdom of Poland under the Piast dynasty in 960 AD, and from the crown of the Polish kingdom spread to the Grand Duchy of Lithuania after 1569, as an overseer of a voivodeship and its administration. In time, the office lost some of its importance, from second after the ruler, to just one of several dozen important officials. In the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, a voivode was one of the officials entitled to sit in the Senate of Poland. Hungary. The voivode of Transylvania was one of the barons of the Kingdom of Hungary. The voivode, in effect, a territorial governor or viceroy appointed by the Hungarian crown. He was also the chief magistrate and military commander of the Transylvanian counties, whose heads, or isbans, were appointed and dismissed by the voivodes, instead of the sovereign. The voivodes, closely affiliated with the kings, were often far from Transylvania, and local administration frequently fell into the hands of the vice-voivodes. Some voivodes, such as Ladislaus Khan, were powerful local rulers, effectively independent of the king. The title was in use from 1167 until the Principality of Transylvania emerged in the 16th century. Romania. In Moldavia and Wallachia, voivode meant the same thing as domn, which was the supreme administrative leader, a term stemming from the Latin word dominus, meaning lord or master. Both titles went by default to the ruling prince, which, as a sovereign ruler, had all land in Aladium and was the chief commander of the army. The voivode title was kept in its initial form by the Wallachian nobility of Arahatgalawi and Maramuors, where the title of voivode, together with the princely Cneaz title, had the meaning of noble or local ruler, but also leader of local armies or militias. The last person in current-day Romania to bear the voivode title is Michael I of Romania. Between 1930 and 1940 he had the formal title of the Grand Voivode of Alba Iulia, a reference to Prince Michael the Brave. Russia. Voivodas in Russia were the appointed administrators responsible for the regional administration, initially in charge of some military unit that defended the region. The title has a close similarities with the Margrave of the Holy Roman Empire, meaning the ruler of border territories. The title of voivode became more regular from about 1550 and was divided between regimental and city voivode. Voivode was appointed by the Tsar's prikaz and confirmed by the Boyar Duma for the length of 2 to 3 years. At first that position was assigned to the administrators of border territories and was similar to the later Russian Governor-General. As the territory of the Russian state expanded, the position was somewhat degraded for the territories that drifted away from the international borders. The voivodes filled a power vacuum left by the time of troubles. The early Romanovs gave all their judicial and police powers to the voivodes in an attempt to reform them, but problems remained, as their powers became too broad and invited corruption. In 1621, the voivodes were forbidden by Tsar Michael to take bribes as this had become a problem. Despite this, the administration remained chaotic until Peter the Great's reforms replaced the voivodes with burgmesters to collect the taxes. From about 1550, a Russian voivode was an official with both civil and military powers. He was originally a military commander, but on the frontier, civil and military could not easily be separated. The first peacetime voivode was probably that of Murom in 1547, facing the Chasm of Khanate. As Russian frontier expanded, by the 1570s and 80s voivodes appeared at Kazan, Astrakhan, Kaprivna, Ryals, Arkhangelsk, Voronezh and other places. Since the earliest Russian entry, Siberia was administered by voivodes. They were appointed to each significant town by the special Siberian prikaz, usually for a term of 2 years. Towns and voivodes were grouped into razryads under a principal town. Originally this was Tobolsk for the whole of Siberia. Tomsk was split off in 1627, Yakutsk in 1638 and Yeniseisk was separated from Tomsk in 1676 or 1677. Verkhotury, which was the chief Siberian custom house, was its own razryad from 1687 to 1693. Voivode's administration. A voivode would sometimes have an assistant voivode or a pismeni go-lover. The term go-lover appears in English sources with an uncertain meaning. A prikazchik was a sort of sub-voivode who was given special powers. Increasingly, there were dyaks, a sort of high clerk who supplemented a voivode in administrative affairs. Valid documents had to be countersigned by the dyak. This collective administration was designed to prevent corruption. Below the dyak was the podyaki or underclerk. These were often local men who might hold office for decades. At certain periods of Russian history, financial affairs were managed by slavolniks or sworn men and kept somewhat separate to reduce corruption. Serbia. During the Middle Ages, the voivode was a military rank in a noble title. Veliki Voivode was bestowed upon the top generals. In 1691, the Serbs who lived in the Habsburg monarchy gained from the Habsburg Emperor the right to territorial autonomy within one separate voivodeship in the Habsburg monarchy, as well as right to be ruled by a Serb voivode, a civil and military administrator. However, the voivodeship was not formed at that time, nor was a voivode appointed, only a vice-voivode. Jovan Monastilija was the vice-voivode of the Serbs between 1691 and 1706. After him, no other vice-voivodes were appointed. At the May Assembly in Sremski Karlovci, recalling the privilege from 1691, the Serbs proclaimed the creation of the Serbian Vojvodina and elected Stephen Supuljakic as voivode. These actions were later recognized by the Austrian Emperor, and Supuljakic was recognized as a voivode. By a decision of the Austrian Emperor, in November 1849, a new province was formed as the political successor of the Serbian voivodeship. It was known as the Serbian voivodeship and Tamas Banat. The new voivodeship existed between 1849 and 1860 and the title of Great Voivode belonged to Emperor Franz Joseph I of Austria himself, though it was ruled by an appointed governor. After the voivodeship was abolished in 1860, Franz Joseph I kept the title of Great Voivode of the Voivodeship of Serbia until his death in 1916. His successor, Karl I of Austria, also retained the title until the end of the monarchy in 1918. The title was often used to designate important military commanders in the Serbian uprising against the Turks 1804 to 1815. In the period from 1903 to 1918, the Serbian paramilitary organization Chetniks used the title internally to designate its top commanders, Vojin, Popović, Voja Tankarzik and Kosta Pekanik being the prime examples. It was used in this manner again by the Chetniks in the Second World War. Military rank Voivode, or etymologically, was the highest rank in the army of the Kingdom of Serbia and Kingdom of Yugoslavia until Second World War. It was created with the passing of the law on the organization of the Army of the Kingdom of Serbia in 1901. Law was passed on the suggestion of Lieutenant Colonel Milos Vasic, who was Minister of the Defense at the time. The rank was awarded only during the war for particular military contributions of top generals. In the Balkan Wars and World War I, this title was used to designate the highest military rank in Serbian army. The first Field Marshal was promoted by the Great Military Decree of the Kingdom of Serbia on 20 October 1912. Only 4 people ever officially held that military rank: Radimir Putnik, Stepa Stepanović, Zivajin Misic and Peter Bojovic. Honorary title but not military rank held Montenegrin General Janko Vukotic and French General Louis Franchet Desperi. During the World War I, General Peter Bojovic held the position of Chief of Staff of the Supreme Command and was a superior to 2 army commanders who were field marshals. Before this rank was introduced, the highest rank in the Kingdom of Serbia was Army General. After Second World War, the newly formed Yugoslav People's Army stopped using royal ranking system, so this rank ceased to exist. List of Serbian, Yugoslavian voivodes, royal family members, military field marshals, voivodes in art and popular culture. In Bram Stoker's Dracula, as Count Dracula recounts his genealogy to Jonathan Harker, he claims that the voivode who crossed the Danube and beat the Turk on his own ground was a Dracula. In Chapter 18, Van Helsing speculates that this was Count Dracula himself. Among Russians, there are at least 3 significant works involving voivodes. Tchaikovsky's first opera, Voivode, Op. 3, was based on Alexander Ostrovsky's play. Tchaikovsky's later orchestral work, the symphonic ballad The Voivode, Op. 78, was based on Alexander Pushkin's translation of Adam Mickiewicz's poem. It has the same name as the opera but is otherwise unrelated to it. Anton Arensky later produced his own operatic adaptation of the play as A Dream on the Volga. Rimsky-Korsakov's differently sourced opera Pan Wojewoda, while composed to a Russian text, is set in Poland. In the video game Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, the boss is also known as Voivode by the Soviets, as referenced in the game by President Johnson. Leaders of the Zamisa clan in White Wolf's Vampire the Masquerade may be known as voivodes due to their Slavic origins.